is September 5th. We are here. Football is just 3 days away, and this is the SGPN Fantasy Football Podcast, and we're on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Presented to you today by WynnBet. Bet $100 at WynnBet and get a $100 free bet. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBet. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. The NFL kicks off this week, and get ready for the season with 32 NFL team previews with the Sports Gambling Podcast. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NFL previews today.
And we are also brought to you by the FREEROLL football contest, and it is back and better than ever. $5,000 up for grab in our NFL contest and $1,500 in our brand new college football contest as well. Sign up exclusively in our Discord at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Again, that's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord.
All right, guys. Well, make sure you go and join the Discord, and please like, subscribe, leave us a review. Let us know, good or bad, what your thoughts are about the show, what your thoughts are about the takes today. So we're going to just set the table. First, we're going to go over some news. We're also going to give you some bold takes. Bold takes will be for the season. We're also going to look at some odds. Vegas they know what they're doing. There's a reason those casinos are so nice. And so we want to give you a little bit of an idea of what Vegas is trying to tell us about some of the players. Look at some odds and how we can relate that to fantasy football predictions and trade targets. Dynasty season is 24/7, 365, and it's always trade season. And you maybe have just 2 or 3 days, maybe a week to trade a couple guys, where next week you're going to say, hey, Brad, can you still offer me this guy? And he's going to say, no. I saw him play on Sunday. The price is tripled. And we want to give you guys a little bit of a heads up so you guys can know who to get ahead of the game with. But first, before we get into that, Brad, just want to say welcome to the show.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. I'm excited. I got my baseball in hand. I've got my Busch latte, I'm going to call it, for tonight. Just a little light. It's been a long weekend, but you got to have a little something, a little beverage while we're talking football, or it just doesn't feel right. So I'm ready to get into this, man. How was your weekend, though?
It was good. If you guys don't know, Indiana has beaches. So my wife wanted to go to the beach for her birthday. She's from Dominican Republic, so she's usually able to go right around the corner and go to beach anywhere. We're in Indiana. It's the opposite. But we did find a beach in Indiana, and I highly recommend Indiana. It's a state park. Indiana sand dunes. Awesome. Great time. But let's get into football. So let's first talk about the news. The biggest, probably the biggest news today was Chris Godwin as far as dynasty and just redraft. Chris Godwin shed the brace. He's showing some confidence in the knee. Sounds like he's going to be available week 1. Are you comfortable enough putting him in your lineup week 1, Brad?
No, I'm not touching that. If I don't have to, I'm staying away from it. They've got guys that they don't need to rush him in, right? That Tom Brady said, I want Russell Gage. They went out and got Russell Gage. They brought in Julio Jones. They still have Mike Evans. They drafted Rachaad White. They have guys there that they can use, and they're going to be perfectly fine not forcing Chris Godwin back. So I'm staying away from him right now because I just don't think he's going to be above even maybe 40 to 50% snaps, if that.
Yeah, and we saw James Robinson is also expected to be activated week 1. Is he someone that you can put in your lineup? I
might be interested in James Robinson in a flex. The way that Doug Peterson talks about him is that he's the guy. He's the 1A. It's really interesting to me. But if I'm in a situation where I'm looking at like him or Michael Carter, Raheem Mostert, like if I'm hurting in that second and you got deep rosters where you're playing 2 or 3 flexes, I'm definitely probably thinking about maybe rolling out James Robinson and hoping for that touchdown, because I think he's going to get the bulk of that work.
You're a riskier man than I am. I'm not touching that. I would not, and if you're in such bad shape that James Robinson's sneaking into your lineup, I hate to break it to you, but you're probably not a contender. DFS wise, he might be a very interesting play with some low ownership, but this is not a DFS show. Marlon Mack was cut from the Houston Texans. At one point, he was the only thing keeping Dameon Pierce away from a breakout season. Dameon Pierce season is here. Is Marlon Mack going to latch on somewhere else, or can you cut him off your dynasty rosters?
No, I think you get rid of him. I've got him in a couple spots. I cut him. I mean, they dropped him from their practice squad even. Like there's zero interest there, and maybe he finds a spot where he gets a little bit of carries, but it's not somebody that I'm worth wasting a roster spot on right now.
It's interesting, Marlon Mack right after James Robinson, because Marlon Mack, he's 2 years off of the torn Achilles. We're hoping that, he would be able to, start to make a comeback, kind of like a Deonta Foreman, but not happening. Kenyon Drake went to the Baltimore Ravens. Snuck that one in on you. What are your thoughts there? I've seen some videos of J.K. Dobbins, and J.K. Dobbins is venomously very upset anytime anyone brings up his knee injury. But, I mean, I got eyes, and they look like a limp. Then you got Gus Edwards isn't even off the pup. They got Mike Davis, Kenyon Drake, and J.K. Dobbins. Is Kenyon Drake someone you're interested in?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've got him in a couple spots, and I mainly because I bought into him in the Arizona season, and you couldn't sell him for anything last year when he went to the Raiders. And so now I'm carrying this guy into Baltimore, and I think he's somebody you can trust, because it's pretty clear that Baltimore, they're not going to put Dobbins on the field with the workload until they are comfortable with it. Not J.K. Dobbins. They don't care what he has to say about where his recovery is. They are, and I mean, they're doing everything to show people that. They bring in Mike Davis. They bring in Kenyon Drake. It's so somebody's going to get that work. And Kenyon Drake to me is head and shoulders over Mike Davis. So I think there's there's no chance that Mike Davis gets more work than Kenyon Drake does. And I just don't know that they're even going to let Dobbins play in week one.
Yeah. And this is definitely not a disagreement to that, but I will say this to a counterpoint is the Baltimore Ravens. They know just as good as anybody. If you got 2 or 3 running backs, that's not enough. All of a sudden you could, you're like, hey, don't worry, we got Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. And then like 48 hours later, they're like, Tyson Williams, you're the man. So, I mean,
shit, Devontae Freeman, now you're the man.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell. I mean, it was just crazy last year. So for a team that it's such an important part of their offense is having good running backs, they're going to want to collect as many as possible. And they like good veteran backs because you can, they know they're professionals, they good ball control. They can pick the playbook up quick, those kind of things. And, hopefully Dobbins is good to go, but I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm very, very cautious. And I hope he does well. But I'm
fingers crossed, right?
Seeing those videos as well as hearing some of the doctors talk about how he kind of tore up the whole knee. Like it wasn't just a clean ACL injury. Makes me nervous. And then Sony Michel. So Sony Michel went to the Eagles. The Eagles have shown, no love for Miles Sanders. And as much as they kind of talk about how they like Miles Sanders, everything points to like they're either frustrated with this guy because he's always hurt. I think he's on a contract year as well.
And he is.
They're going to run the ball a lot, and Jalen Hurts obviously is someone that could potentially vulture from Miles Sanders. If he doesn't get the passing game work, now you got Sony Michel coming in, could vulture some more touchdowns. I mean, this is bad news. Are you picking up Sony Michel? Any interest in him, and what does this do for Miles Sanders?
No, I'm staying away from that like the plague right now, because you saw Sony Michel go in and he vultured work in L.A. He's vultured work everywhere that he's been, and Miles Sanders already had 0 touchdowns. Like this is not good, because now he's getting even less valuable carries inside the 10, inside the 15-yard line, because I feel like they're going to give the ball to Sony Michel. So I think this hurts Miles Sanders even more. And his stock was already down. So if you're a Sanders owner, you're kind of stuck holding the bag right now.
Yeah, and then Jalen Reagor got traded over to the Minnesota Vikings. It was an interesting trade because the value. He was traded for a conditional 4th, so a 5th round and a 7th round pick, It can be a 4th round pick depending on some player incentives. I think how much playing time he has, which is pretty amazing for someone that we all would have thought would have been caught, would have been just cut. I don't know if there was a bidding war, or I don't know if, the Minnesota Vikings were just like, hey, we want him so bad, we're going to overpay. But they may have a plan for him. Are you interested at all in Jalen Reagor? And is that potentially 4th round pick make you more interested?
I might be, and it feels really gross. Like if I can find somebody who's like just looking to get rid of him, and I can move a 4th round rookie pick or a 4th round pick in next year's draft for him, I'm going to take it, because they also kind of coincided that pickup with the release of Smith Marset, which is very interesting. So does that mean that this kid's is he the wide receiver 4 now for the Minnesota Vikings? An injury puts him on the field 60% of the time as the wide receiver 3, and he could be a very interesting player right now. So I think if you could get him for a 4th round pick or pennies on the dollar, if he's on your waiver wire, I think you go grab this guy and stash him and kind of see what happens.
Yeah, he had some speed to that offense. Thielen is not a speedster at this point in his career. KJ Osborne is, he's more of a intermediate route kind of a guy. Obviously Justin Jefferson's do it all, but it had some speed to open up that offense. And, he could be an interesting guy, especially in your best ball, stuff like that. Laquan Treadwell went to the Patriots. He was cut, went to the Patriots. Laviska Shenault was traded to Carolina. And then Carolina also just added Preston Williams to their practice squad from Miami. They're very interesting with what they're doing over there. They're definitely trying to load up with some pieces to put around Baker Mayfield. Obviously, the Baker Mayfield shirts off the leash. Pretty interesting, but we digress. We got to talk about the sponsors, and we're going to get into some bold takes. The first sponsor that I want to talk to you guys again is Wynn. Thinking of joining WynnBet? Now is the perfect time. New customers who bet $100 get a $100 free bet. It's perfect for kicking off the NFL season. Plus, the WynnBet Casino is always open 24 hours a day. We can get a 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Wynn also has their first QB to throw 5 TD bets. There's so much to choose from. All you have to do is head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBet so they know we sent you. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. They also got a 10% boost today if you pick the Buffalo Bills to win the championship. Offers subject to change. Terms and conditions at wynnbet.com. Must be 21 or older and present in the state where playthrough WynnBet is available. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700.
Yeah, and the free roll football contests are back. The college football contest has over $1,500 up for grabs, and our NFL contest is at $5,000, along with a 2-night stay in the one and only Wynn Las Vegas. So sign up exclusively in our Discord. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Again, that's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Look, we're all fans here. The NFL season's here. We're all getting our bets in, our week 1 bets, our season-long bets. And as we get close to kickoff and you get ready to place your bets and lock in your fantasy team, you have to check out the Elias Game Plan app. It is the ultimate sports betting and fantasy companion for the NFL, the NBA, and the MLB, and it has everything that you need to get a competitive advantage. Look, this is the only sports app from the most trusted name in sports, and that is the Elias Sports Bureau. They are the official statistician of all of our U.S. Pro Sports League, and that is including yours truly, the NFL, the National Football League. Their app allows you to access team and player stats, head-to-head team comparisons, and key insights from their research team. It is your one-stop shop for all of this stuff, as well as player injuries, analysis, impact reports, which can all be huge when it comes to your betting and your fantasy tournaments. And look, all of us have that intuition, that gut feel that we go to make a sports bet on because we think something is going to happen the way that we foresee things. But look, the Elias Insights help you know that. They get to add that piece to your strategy. They get to back your intuition up by numbers. So the NFL's here, so do not wait and download the Elias Game Plan app today. Right now, we have a special offer for you. When you go and subscribe, you get a 14-day free trial off your monthly subscription. So 14 days off your monthly subscription, and that's only if you use our promo code SGPN. So find the Elias Game Plan sports betting app in your app store or the Play Store today and use promo code SGPN.
All right, so we're going to do bold predictions. Again, just so you guys know what we're going to be doing. Bold predictions, we're going over some last-second trades, some guys where the window is about to close. And we're going to talk about some odds. Again, we're going to bring Wynn. Wynn's our favorite place to go for our bets. We're going to go there, and we are going to show you guys some of the odds. And you might be surprised on some of the odds for Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, all that good stuff. But first, bold prediction. Brad, let's hear it.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with the quarterback position and Derek Carr. And I believe Derek Carr is going to lead the league in passing yards. So some of you may look at that and say, Brad, is that really a super bold take? Because he finished 5th in yardage last year behind Tom Brady and Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes. But look, I think it is. You're looking at a guy who set a career high in passing yards last year, and he only finished 5th. And now I'm going to say he's going to throw for over 5,000 yards over the likes of some of these other guys like Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes, like we talked about before. But look, in a season where Derek Carr only had Darren Waller for 11 games or so, and then had to lean on a guy like Hunter Renfrow for the remainder of the season, to see him finish 5th in yardage is nutsy cuckoo to me. His leading receiver in Hunter Renfrow only had just over 1,000 yards. And now you bring in Devontae Adams and you see Darren Waller healthy, looking for that contract, wanting to perform for that contract. And then Hunter Renfrow running out of the slot. I just see an absolute smashing opportunity that's right for the taking for him to be the leader in passing yards. And bold take, 1.5, an MVP candidate. Look, when we've seen Derek Carr with 2 solid receivers in the past, when he had Michael Crabtree and Amari Cooper, and before he got hurt, he was in MVP consideration. And I see something very similar happening this season. I think he's going to be a runner, in contention for that MVP race and lead the league in passing yards.
I like it. I thought about Derek Carr for mine. And yeah, he's just, he's gotten a little bit better. And people forget about how much time Waller missed last year. The stuff going on with Henry Ruggs and John Gruden. I mean, it's just the Raiders were kind of a mess last year. So my quarterback prediction, similar guy, similar flavor. He's kind of boring. Mr. Kirk Cousins. Mr. Kirk Cousins he's had over 4,000 yards multiple seasons in a row. He's had 30 touchdowns multiple seasons in a row. You saw what he did in Washington. He's done it in Minnesota as well, and he still gets no respect. Kirk Cousins is going to be a top 6 fantasy quarterback in 2022, and he's going to throw for 40-plus touchdowns. Kirk Cousins, we already talked about it. They added Jalen Reagor, but they get Irv Smith back. Adam Thielen's healthy. Justin Jefferson's ready to go. I think Dalvin Cook is going to be a absolute monster this year. And the Minnesota Vikings, they could easily win the NFC North. That's my prediction. Kirk Cousins, top 6 fantasy football quarterback this year. Who do you got for us running back wise?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Javonte Williams, my pride, my joy, my favorite running back in that class last season. And I think he is going to lead all running backs in rushing touchdowns this season. So, look, when you think about guys that have led the league in rushing touchdowns, you see Jonathan Taylor with 18 last year. Derrick Henry the 2 years prior with 16 and 17, and Todd Gurley the 2 years prior with 13 and 17. And you say, Brad, how can you correlate Javonte Williams to these guys? And I say, look, okay, let's try to find a common thread. So the common thread is actually, believe it or not, the passing offense. So the passing offense for these really three teams, the LA Rams in 2017 and 2018, the Tennessee Titans in 2019 and 2020, and then the Indianapolis Colts in 2021, all had a top 12 passing offense as well. So you look at the Colts last year, they were number 12. You look at the Tennessee Titans, the 2 years that Derrick Henry led in rushing touchdowns, they were number 8 in passing both seasons. And then the LA Rams in 2017 and 2018 with Todd Gurley, they were 7th and 9th. So you think about average, okay, around the 9th. You know, if you average 7, 8, 8, 9, and 12, you're around the 9th passing offense in the league over the last 5 years. That has led the league in rushing touchdowns as well. So now insert Russell Wilson into the Denver Broncos. And over the career of Russell Wilson, I'm going to give you one guess, Dave. What do you think he has averaged in passing offense? 9th. 9th place. Oddly the same or oddly close. So I believe, and I'm going to tell you what, even Melvin Gordon believes that Javonte Williams is the primary back on that team, and I think he's going to absolutely smash the competition in the red zone, and he's going to lead the league in rushing touchdowns.
So I'm going to go with a comeback candidate, and you can call me a homer. Maybe this is a homer pick, but there is a guy that at one time was the top of the Dynasty. Everyone's about to put him on the Dynasty Mount Rushmore. You couldn't get this guy. Now people they love to hate on this guy. And there's a few people that are still around that believe. But Saquon Barkley is going to be the comeback player of the year. And I get it. He may not have the best passing offense in the league. And I do not expect my Giants to have a top 12 passing offense this year. But he's one of the few backs that we expect to get the lion's share of the workload. Matt Breida is not going to be taking Saquon Barkley off the field unless Saquon gets hurt. And if Saquon has a full 16 games with this Brian Daboll offense, with the improved offensive line, it could be fireworks. And you're looking at a guy you can get in the 3rd round of your drafts, maybe late 2nd. I think Saquon Barkley is going to be an absolute stud this year. Comeback player of the year.
I love that so much. I think he's a guy that can lead running backs in total touchdowns, receptions and rushing combined. I agree. I've been harping on Brian Daboll the entire offseason. This guy has never coached a team as an offensive coordinator, or I'm sorry, like 6 out of 8 seasons as a top 10 rushing attack. So I love that take. Absolutely love it.
All right, what receiver you got for us?
All right, look, this is bold. This is bold. Allen Robinson will be the overall #1 wide receiver in 2022. Not a top 12. The overall wide receiver 1. Newly acquired wide receiver for the Los Angeles Rams, Allen Robinson. So let's look at this again, we're going to go a 5-year span. So over the last 5 years, the averages of the overall wide receiver 1 was 119 catches, a little over 1,400 yards, and about 12 touchdowns. In Allen Robinson's 4 fully healthy seasons, right? Everything is, assuming a full season. He averaged 88 catches, just under 1,200 yards, and 8 touchdowns. And you say, oh my God, Brad, that's like 30 catches off, 300 yards off, 4 touchdowns. That's a big difference. I don't disagree with that. But how many people thought that Cooper Kupp was the most talented wide receiver in the game of football? Who today thinks that Cooper Kupp is the most talented wide receiver in football? I don't think he's as talented as Allen Robinson. And to see the fact that just because Matthew Stafford came in, he over doubled the average statistics for Cooper Kupp over his first 4 seasons in the league. Doubled his receptions, doubled his yardage, doubled his touchdowns, his averages over those first 3 or 4 seasons. So to think that he can't add 25% to Allen Robinson and put him in the wide receiver 1 overall on a team that's just going to be an offensive juggernaut yet again is well within the realm of possibility. So bold take number 3, Allen Robinson is the overall wide receiver 1 in 2022.
That is bold. Allen Robinson. I thought you were going to say Allen Lazard, and I thought we were going to get an Allen Lazard double-digit touchdown prediction. And I almost went there. But I've been on the show before. I said CeeDee Lamb is going to break out this year, and CeeDee Lamb is going to break out this year. CeeDee Lamb is going to finish as a top 5 fantasy receiver in 2022. Everyone that sees the polls, sees the trades, everything says, how can you put a guy up there that hasn't done it before? Well, guys, they didn't do it until they did it. And this guy's going to do it this year. He had Dak Prescott's, major injury happen his rookie year. He had Ben DiNucci and Andy Dalton, and yada, yada. Last year, obviously, he was consistent. In the beginning of the year, he was on fire. And then, the wheels kind of fell off. I think it all hits. Amari Cooper's out of town. You got basically him, Dalton Schultz. This is going to be an offense that passes the ball a lot. Dak Prescott's 2 years off that major injury. I think it's wheels up for CeeDee Lamb. They're going to move him all over the place. He's going to have 1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns, about 100 catches. This guy's going to have a monster year. Watch out. CeeDee Lamb is going to catch fire.
I love that. Just the real quick, people forget. It's like short-term memory loss. Up until 2 years ago when Justin Jefferson came out as a rookie, everybody's big breakout was the 3rd-year wide receiver breakout. And now because of Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, it's like everybody forgot that that's like the standard. The standard is about 3 years in. That's when they break out. You saw CeeDee Lamb increase in targets, increase in receptions, increase in yardage, increase in touch. He increased at every possible statistic from year 1 to year 2. And everybody's like, well, he hasn't even done it yet. Like, well, like you said, it's the 3rd-year breakout. That's the standard, and people just forget about it. So I absolutely love it. Don't sleep on the 3rd-year breakout. Just don't do it.
Yeah, and, we'll throw a bonus one in there. DJ Moore has over 4 touchdowns this year. But I don't think that one's too bold. What do you got for tight ends?
All right. So my bold take at the tight end position, I'm going to say another overall tight end 1 complete finish by none other than Zach Ertz, tight end for the Arizona Cardinals. Again, I think Zach Ertz is going to be the overall tight end number 1 in 2022. Look, this is a guy that with Arizona, he was number 2 in tight ends in targets in just his time with Arizona last season. He was 4th in fantasy points per game. He was tied for 1st in red zone targets among the tight ends. And yet he only came away with 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns, but he had 20 red zone targets. Again, tied for 1st. If he stays on par with all of those numbers, along with DeAndre Hopkins being out and Marquise Brown being able to draw some coverage, the tight end 9 value that you're getting out of him is a smash. And it's absolutely possible that he ends up as the overall tight end number 1 in 2022.
So I'm going to go with number 85 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mr. Julio Jones is going to be a top 10 tight end 2022. Julio Jones may get 10 touchdowns in Tampa Bay. I don't know what they're going to do with him, but people forget, it's still Julio Jones. And I know there's jokes and all that. It didn't work out in Tennessee. But Julio Jones is going to be their red zone threat. And Tom Brady, he's been known to just Antonio Brown revitalize what's going on over there. Randy Moss. I would not be shocked at all if Julio Jones had 10 touchdowns this year, and you can get him for basically free. I would take a stab at Julio Jones in your leagues. Don't trade a lot, but I mean you're not going to have to. But we'll talk about that here in a second. I'm going to go with Albert Okubanon for the Denver Broncos. And I know I can hear everybody. The Russell Wilson does not support tight end. Russell Wilson gets tight ends are on the back end of their career. Jimmy Graham at the end of his career is not the same as Jimmy Graham before he was traded to Seattle. There's a reason he was traded to Seattle. Greg Olsen was not the same. And I know Gerald Everett went over there. Gerald Everett was never a thing. But we saw Will Dissly was about to be a thing until he had 2 major injuries. Albert Kubanon is bigger and faster than Courtland Sutton. This is a team that's going to run 12 personnel a lot. He's going to be on the field 90% of the time. This guy is an absolute athletic freak. He's 2 years off an ACL injury. There's a reason why they were easily parting away with Noah Fant, because they got another version, a cheaper version in-house, ready to go. And so Albert O is someone, when I look at tight ends, you're going to want to look at opportunities. Are they going to be able to get 100 targets? I think he can get 100 targets in this offense. We got Jerry Jeudy, we got Courtland Sutton. Of course, the running backs are going to get theirs, but he could be the third guy as far as the pass catchers. And you're looking at air yards. This guy is not someone that they're going to dink and dunk down the field. Hey, go down, run a stick route, and we're going to hit you. No, they're going to have him doing seam busters, crossers, have him go. They want this guy with 4.3 speed to go toward the goalpost, and he's probably the closest thing they have to doing those Tyler Lockett roll out to the right, pass it all the way to the left kind of a deal. You can see some really boom weeks from him. I love him in best ball. Little dangerous in redraft, and I'm all over him in Dynasty as my second tight end because I really do think he can break out this year. I'm going to go Albert O is a top 8 tight end this year, 10+ touchdowns.
I love it. The Greg Dulich stuff just doesn't. I was on, and then I was off, then I was on. It's pretty clear that Albert O is the guy.
It's a rookie tight end who missed almost all of camp now with an injury, and I believe he's on the IR now.
Yep.
For 4 weeks. So, Albert O, AO, Albert Kubanon, let's go. Let's check in with the sponsors and then get into our last second trades. I'm going to talk to you about Fubo TV. If you're watching the show, you like football. If you watch football, you need Fubo TV. Fubo TV gives you complete coverage of college and pro football with NFL Red Zone plus games in 4K at no extra charge. Over 100 channels of live sports and entertainment for a fraction of the price of cable. Watch on all your devices and never miss a game or any episode of your favorite shows with the included cloud-based DVR. Plus, there's no contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time. And here's the best part. Right now, you can try Fubo TV for free for 7 days, and you get 15% off your first month. Just go to FuboTV.com/SGP. That's FuboTV.com/SGP. And I'm going to see you guys later. I'm going to go do this right now.
Yeah. And the next one up is, again, we love betting on the National Football League. So for all of you bettors out there, I want to tell you about the best way to just increase your bankroll. And it's called promoguy.us. At promoguy.us, you get the biggest, and I mean the biggest bonuses from all of the best sportsbook in the country. I mean, we're talking $1,000 in risk-free deposits, insane odd boosts, and most importantly, the best analytics in the business. And you get tons of free picks as well. So promoguy.us is your guide to betting smart. Once again, that's promoguy.us.
Now on to Sleeper. Sleeper is the fastest growing fantasy platform today with millions of players. You probably already have a fantasy league on there. I know I use it for mine. It's a game-changing product unlike anything else in the industry. Now you can win on Sleeper by playing their new over-under game. Over-under is integrated into fantasy, the first sports contest built into the fantasy experience. Not only can you enter a contest via over-under itself, but you can also do this through your fantasy league's matchup screen, i.e. Patrick Mahomes is your starting fantasy quarterback. Not only do you think that you are going to win your fantasy matchup this week, but you're also so confident that Mahomes is going to hit the over on his 250 passing yards line. If you pick correctly, you can win anywhere from 2 times to 20 times the money you put in. The main reason I'm excited about the over-under on Sleeper is that's the only app where I can join my buddies contest and we can play together. It's got a built-in group chat where I can see and copy my friends' picks with just a tap of a button. It's insanely fun. We can run it out together. Not only do they have NFL, but they also have college football player props. Stop what you're doing now and download the Sleeper app now to play their over and under game. Have fun with your friends and make some money too. On your mobile phone, just go join the Sleeper group at sleeper.com/SGP, and they'll automatically match your first deposit up to $100. Promo code SGP. Again, go to sleeper.com/SGP, and you get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. All right, Brad. So we talked about our bowl predictions. We talked about the news. Now, let's talk about some players that we feel like you need to go buy now before it's too late. And if you have any sells, we can also go through those as well.
Okay.
But who do you got?
So my first one, I'm going to double dip a little bit. I'm going to double down on my bold takes. And the first guy is going to be Allen Robinson, wide receiver for the LA Rams. Look, I'm not going to talk about all the statistics on why he could be the wide receiver one again. We all know how good Allen Robinson is, and we all know how good Matthew Stafford is, and we all know how good Sean McVay is. This is a team where they supported two top-end wide receivers for multiple years in Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, and to think that Allen Robinson can't do the same is crazy to me. And to me, cost is always the thing, right? Players are always for sale, and I will go buy almost any player. And when I can give up Elijah Mitchell for Allen Robinson and a first-round pick, I'm smashing that. When I can get Allen Robinson for Christian Watson and a third, a guy who hasn't even practiced with his team really yet, like, I'm smashing both of those trades. And I'm telling you right now, after he explodes on week 1 with 100 yards and a touchdown or a couple touchdowns and 80 yards, you're not going to be able to get him because they're going to see Cooper Kupp all over again. You got to go get this guy before the season starts.
Now, I like that. And Allen Robinson is someone that, as soon as I acquired him in my Dynasty leagues, I had people just hitting me up and they just wanted to sneak Allen Robinson out. And like, dude, I just trade for Allen Robinson. I'm not going to sell him to you for less than I paid. Yeah. And obviously I like this guy. So I don't know if you can quickly check out some Sky Moore, but that is my guy. And so Sky Moore is someone that if you did your drafts right after the draft in, May, you were having to pay a mid first round pick or a late first round pick. So I didn't get as much Sky Moore as I wanted to because you had to pay so much. But then I had my drafts. I had 2 drafts in August, and I got Sky Moore on both teams because I didn't have to pay the full price. And it was beautiful because you get Sky Moore attached to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in this Kansas City offense. And I suggest you go get him now. Because if he goes out week 1 and gets 8, 9, 10 targets, I promise you, whoever has Sky Moore in your league is going to latch on just a little bit tighter. Even if it goes 5 catches, 50 yards, no touchdowns. They're going to see those 8 targets, 9 targets, and say this guy is going to be a focal point of this offense. And I get it. Justin Watson's been running ahead of him in preseason. And you got Juju Smith-Schuster out there, MVS out there. MVS got a bigger contract than Juju. I get it. I'm still all about the Sky Moore. You can see where he was drafted, why he was drafted, and all the scouts absolutely are going goo-goo over this guy. You're gonna be doing the same thing when you see him play on Sunday. So go get Sky Moore before it's too late.
Yeah. So drafts, you get him pretty late. But from what I'm seeing right now, the value that you have to give up to get him in existing leagues is a little bit more expensive. So let's see how this kind of works. So Mike Williams or Sky Moore?
Mike Williams.
Gabe Davis or Sky Moore?
Gabe Davis.
The next one I'd probably take. Give up Michael Pittman and get Sky Moore and a first.
Yeah, Sky Moore first.
So the value's pretty expensive right now. You got to give up Mike Williams to get him, Gabe Davis to give him, or you give up Michael Pittman, which is still a huge asset, and then wait a year for that 23 first. So, I mean, you better be sure what you're getting out of Sky Moore right now for those trades.
You may have to pay those prices.
No.
So if that's what the going cost is, yeah, then maybe you don't do it. Go check in, see what's out there, because if the prices are what I've seen in my drafts where he's going 2.02. Would you take Sky Moore, or let's say you had a situation where you could get Treylon Burks, trade back and get Sky Moore plus, something like that, because Treylon Burks is going way ahead of Sky Moore in your drafts, those kind of things. But who's your next pick?
Yeah, so my next one again, like I said, I'm double dipping and I'm going with Zach Ertz, tight end for the Arizona Cardinals. It's again a guy I really believe could be the overall tight end number one. And for a tight end that I could get giving up David Njoku and JD McKissick, I'm going to do that. A guy that I could give up Chase Claypool for straight up, I'm going to do that. A guy where I could get a first on top of him for Travis Kelce. Now it starts to get a little interesting, right? Do you move from one 32 or 33-year-old tight end to another older tight end, but you add that first? For me, I think I would probably do that because, again, it's one of those trades where people feel like they just smashed you by getting Travis Kelce and giving you Zach Ertz and a first. But I really do believe that this guy is going to be an absolute stud this season, and the value is there to get him on an already contending roster. And I think that's kind of the context to keep in mind, right? If you're in a rebuild, don't go trade for Zach Ertz right now. If he's on your roster right now and you're not a contender, wait until the season to sell him, because then that's when you're going to get the value. But I think right now he's just gonna smash his current value. So Zach Ertz, tight end for the Arizona Cardinals. Go get him.
Yeah, and I've been saying this all offseason. Zach Ertz is not as old as you think he is. He's the same age as Travis Kelce. Yep. People want to put him in the nursing home next year. He could definitely be a 2 or 3 year window guy.
Yep.
So but speaking of Zach Ertz, Trey McBride is someone that is he could see the field early. Zach Ertz is dealing with a calf injury. He is questionable for week 1. We expect Zach Ertz to play, but if Zach Ertz does not play, you could see Trey McBride hit the field and he could wow some people. I think people, because of where he was drafted, not in the first round, don't realize how good he was. This guy was an absolute beast. Hit over 90 catches last year. But the reason I'm saying go get him now, especially with the Zach Ertz situation, but tight ends are just so hard to find. And if they start working him into the offense and you start seeing flashes of this guy, you're not going to be able to get a hold of him. We got Hopkins is out 6 weeks. If Ertz misses a couple games, you guys could see some Trey McBride, and you're not going to be able to get him for what you're getting right now. And he's someone right now that you could just get thrown onto a trade. And I love stashing a couple, upside tight ends on my taxi squad because they're so hard to find a good tight end. Anytime you got to trade for one, you got to trade up.
Yep. There's a ton of those throw-in trades with Trey McBride. It's interesting because there's actually one with Trey McBride and Zach Ertz for 2 seconds, and I think I'd smash that deal.
Oh, yeah.
He's an extra, essentially straight up for AJ Green, right? That's another smash deal. Raheem Mostert straight up in a deal 1 for 1. That's a take. Him or Irv Smith. So now you pick a little bit there on who you believe that next tight end is going to be. He goes one for 1 for Jameis Winston, which I think is a little expensive for my taste, but there are a ton of these trades where he's just the extra penny that you need to make the deal work. And that is absolutely the way to go get him right now.
Yeah. And you may have to wait a little bit. I talked about Zach Ertz earlier, but if Zach Ertz ends up being there for only 1 more year or even 2 more years, 3rd-year breakout for tight ends. Like I said, just pick him up now for what you can. And another guy as a bonus is Kenny Pickett. And so I threw this out there on Twitter earlier. Trubisky's the captain. Trubisky's the starter. Trubisky's on the promos. And that's great. And it sounds like he's had the job all offseason. And I hope Trubisky kills it because it just rubs more dirt in the whole Nagy situation because Nagy was just terrible. But if Trubisky goes out and lays an egg week 1, Kenny Pickett's stock is just going to start shooting up. And you don't want to wait until that happens. In your super flex leagues, it's really hard to get quarterbacks. And right now, Kenny Pickett is the 3rd string on the depth chart. Now's the time to go get him. And you can go sell Trubisky. And I know that today is the day that the news came out, so you may not see a full reflection of this. But he's a first-round quarterback. He will get a chance to start. And maybe it's not till next year, and that's fine. You should not be relying on Kenny Pickett this year if you're a contender. But Kenny Pickett is someone you want to go get now before it's too late, because if Trubisky starts to stink it up, it's just going to the drumbeat's going to get louder and louder, and Pickett's price is going to get higher and higher.
Yeah, and it's pretty stable right now, right? So you see trades like Aaron Jones for Kenny Pickett and a first. You see Kenny Pickett go straight up for Kenneth Walker. Kenny Pickett goes straight up for a 23 first. Kenny Pickett and a first go for Michael Pittman. So I feel like that's pretty stable, pretty standard value for a first round quarterback that is, sitting, for at least a portion of the season, if not the entire season. So you're not paying that upcharge for him being a starter just yet. But like you said, if Mitch goes out and just lays an egg in those first couple weeks and they move to Kenny Pickett, then you're not going to be able to afford him at that point.
Yeah, and don't hear what I'm not saying. Don't go and spend a 23 first for Kenny Pickett. Go check and see what the price is. People are very reactive to the news. Just check it out. And if people are still wanting a 23 first, I'm not taking it for Kenny Pickett. But see if you can get a second for Kenny Pickett in a Superflex league. I would do that. And just see what the price is. If people were thinking Kenny Pickett was going to be the starter and now he's not, maybe they want that veteran off of your roster. And you could say, I'll give you Mariota or Trubisky, something like that, and a little something. So
yeah, it's interesting because if you look at the timeline of these trades, I can scroll down and the ones I just read to you are pretty solid value. These other ones before the news of them trying to move on or trade talks around Mason Rudolph, the value was significantly less. Juju Smith-Schuster and Matt Corral for Kenny Pickett. Jameis Winston and KJ Osborne for Kenny Pickett. I'd take both of those deals. Kenny Pickett for Tom Brady in a third. If I'm in a rebuild, I'm definitely taking that. So there's definitely been a shift in the value of Kenny Pickett kind of since the Mason Rudolph news, which is crazy that of all things is kind of the correlation to his value shift a little bit, but it definitely has.
Yeah. Whoever runs the NFL account must either be related to Mason Rudolph or have Kenny Pickett on their dynasty team, because so many like Mason Rudolph is making a showing for, making a push for QB1. I'm like, come on, don't tag this guy. Poor guy got tagged in that. People were just trashing him in the offers. So let's check in with the sponsors before we get into wins. To check out the odds on win. We're going to talk about Run Your Pool. Run Your Pool is the home of competition, bringing sports fans and the social circles together to compete, connect, and make every game matter more. Run Your Pool offers every game type under the sun, from Pick'em to Survivor to fantasy pools. It's a one-stop shop for sports gaming and customizable features that you don't get anywhere else. If you're a Dynasty commissioner or you just want to make sure your Dynasty league is better, add things like this in there. Add DFS contests, add Pick'em, add Survivor. Those kind of things bring a community together, and those leagues last longer. They're more fun. And we've teamed up with Run Your Pool, and we've hosted a pool for our official SGPN NFL Survivor. Get all of your Dynasty leagues to do this. You can reserve your spot now. $500 cash plus a $250 gift certificate to the SGPN store to the winner. You sign up today over at play.runyourpool.com/SGPN. That's play.runyourpool.com/SGPN. And if your coworkers or your friends aren't into fantasy football, maybe this is a way to get them started. Again, sign up today over at play.runyourpool.com/SGPN.
And look, we've talked about sports betting up to this point. We've talked about how you can improve your bankroll and where you could make your bets and all these kinds of things. But what we haven't talked about is where you can get the best odds. And Odds Trader is the place to compare all of those odds from all of your major sports books. You can also compare all of your different sign-up codes and the promotions from one sports book to another to ensure you're getting the best deal available. Their app also provides player statistics, key game stats, injury reports, and projected game day weather for you as a bettor to make the most informed bets possible. And it also has a bet tracker so that you can keep records of all your games as well as your betting activity. So go to oddstrader.com/Blue Wire. Again, that's oddstrader.com/Blue Wire. Odds Trader, the #1 site for all your game day bets.
All right, so let's check out WynnBet and see who they think is going to win the Super Bowl. Brad, I don't know if you've placed your bets, whether it's at the casino with your buddies, with your wife, but who do you think, if you have a prediction, is going to be playing in the Super Bowl?
Look, I'm leaning towards that LA Chargers. I really like the odds for the Chargers as well. I think they're significant underdogs when you look at the Green Bay Packers and the Kansas City Chiefs being ahead of them. I think that's crazy. So I'm going to go LA Chargers for the AFC, and I'm going to go the LA Rams. It's the duel of the Los Angeles teams in Super Bowl. Los Angeles Rams at +1,000 I really like as well. I think they're in a much better position from an offensive perspective with the addition of Allen Robinson, Cam Akers coming back and being healthy. I just like their team a little bit as well, and really to kind of come out of that NFC on top and kind of the weaker, conference this season in my eyes. So Rams versus Chargers in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. The last couple of years, we've seen some home teams play. And we've also seen teams with new quarterbacks. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they went and acquired Tom Brady. They host the Super Bowl in Tampa. They won the Super Bowl in Tampa. The Rams acquired Matthew Stafford. Some people came out and said, why would you pay that much? Is it even an upgrade over Goff? Apparently it was. They played in the LA Coliseum, and they won the Super Bowl. So I'm looking at teams on here. I'm going, who's got a new quarterback? The Broncos got a new quarterback. Let's go with the Broncos. Chargers may have been my first choice. Let's go with the Broncos, and they're going to play against Tom Brady. Even though the Super Bowl's in Arizona, I'm not going to put the Arizona Cardinals in the Super Bowl. But if you do want to take the Cardinals, they're +3,000.
That feels good, doesn't it?
It does feel pretty good. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm gonna go Broncos. But I'm gonna stick to that. I'm gonna go Broncos and Tampa Bay. Lock it in. And my buddy and I did win a bet last year, and so instead of splitting the money, we just put I think it was like $200, and so we do have a bet for the Bills Packers. So if the Bills and Packers make it to the Super Bowl, we get to split that, and we'll see what we'll do with it.
Nice.
So, some interesting, the Eagles are interesting here. You got the Bengals 2,000, Cowboys 1,800, the Ravens. And so again, you can kind of see where Vegas thinks teams are going to finish this year. So you look at your top 14 teams, and that's who they feel like is going to be in the playoffs.
San Francisco ahead of Dallas and the Bengals.
Cleveland 3,000.
Yeah. As a homer, I don't think I could put a bet on that right now. I can't. I mean, maybe $5 or something like that. But I don't know how much faith I got in Jacoby Brissett to get us there. So,
well, we'll be sharing these on Twitter just to give you guys a little bit. So the MVP, Josh Allen, Tom Brady, Patrick, the MVP, aka the quarterback award. All your favorites to win it are quarterbacks. The #1 non-quarterback is, holy crap, it's all quarterbacks. Jonathan Taylor.
Derrick Henry, right?
Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor at +7,500. J.K. Dobbins at +7,500. They don't think he's got any injury. Trubisky not far behind, and then Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, Dalvin Cook. So they think those guys are going to have big years. Devontae Adams, Nick Chubb. The odds makers, they like the Browns. Trevor Lawrence up there, pretty good. So let's keep going down here.
Oh. Who's your kind of dark horse for MVP? I already kind of mentioned mine. I think the offensive, the MVP dark horse is Derek Carr in my eyes right now. Do you have a dark horse right now?
Well, I mean, I definitely look at quarterbacks on teams that could go, and Jalen Hurts is very interesting. If the Eagles do go to go deep into the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl, or go deep into the playoffs in general, Jalen Hurts is going to be the quarterback of that team, and I don't see AJ Brown being that guy. So I'll go with him. I'll go with Russell Wilson from the AFC.
I like it.
Offensive Player of the Year. Again, more of a quarterback award, but this one's got more fantasy relevant players. Cooper Kupp, Jonathan Taylor, Deebo Samuel, Derrick Henry, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, Lamar Jackson. They are not worried about Derrick Henry's foot. They're not worried about Deebo's new role or Devontae Adams' new team. Christian McCaffrey, no, they're not worried about him. Josh Allen.
Nick Chubb up there. God, I love that. I love that.
They love Nick Chubb. There's some love in the streets on Wynn. Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, Javonte Williams, Stephon Diggs, Trey Lance is right there with Tom Brady and Tyreek Hill, Alvin Kamara, CeeDee Lamb, Joe Mixon, Saquon, Austin Eckler, DeAndre Swift, Darren Waller, Elijah Mitchell, pretty high.
Yep.
So very interesting. Again, if you go over to Wynn, make sure you guys check that out. They're also doing that 10% bonus. So your odds, so they have 7 different days. Today, the first day, they're doing the Buffalo Bills. So you get plus 150 if you bet on the Buffalo Bills to win the Super Bowl. And just make sure you guys let them know we sent you. And that's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBet. And let's look at. I want to look at the rookies. I didn't get the rookies yet. Sorry for scrolling, everybody. There's a lot to go through. They got everything. So if you want to go through just specific teams, you got the Texans over under 4.5 wins. They don't think they're going to be good this year. The Colts 10.5. You got the Rams 10.5. Chargers 10.5. Vikings 9.5. My Giants 7.5. Not so good.
Wow.
Steelers 7.5. Tampa Bay 11.5. They must not have seen the offensive line. Passing yards. Justin Herbert is the lead dog.
I guess my bold take's not so bold in WynnBet's eyes.
No, not at all. Derek Carr is number 4. Most rushing yards. Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry. They love Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
Devontae Williams, not far behind. Receiving yards. Justin Jefferson is now taking the lead. Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs. My pick, CeeDee Lamb at number 5.
Look at DJ Moore up there. Wow.
DJ Moore has, he's consistently put up 1,200 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Every year with terrible quarterback play.
Yep.
Here's your sacks for your IDP guys. Then this is some passing touchdowns, some personal Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. And let's see, did I skip over the rookies? I must have.
You must have, yeah.
So what I thought was very interesting with the rookies, I'm going to stop sharing before I give somebody hurt somebody. But with the rookies, it's Dynasty. We want to know what rookies are going to be out there. So everyone, if you're listening, start thinking about in your head who you think is going to have the best odds for Offensive Rookie of the Year. If you guessed Dameon Pierce or Romeo Doubs, You're correct. Both those guys. Taking my breath away. Brad, you want to talk about this real quick?
Yeah, I mean, the Dameon Pierce is, I get it. It's definitely a possibility, right? When you look at the fact they released Marlon Mack, they are giving him the reins. And there is a world where he ends up with the most rushing yards and the most touchdowns out of all of these rookies that come out. So it's not surprising that now that we know he's the bell cow, that he's up there. I just don't know that the Texans are going to be good enough to be able to get him to that point necessarily. Romeo Doubs is crazy to me. That is absolutely insane that he's up there. George Pickens, who quite possibly is the third or fourth or even fifth option in Pittsburgh when you look at Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Pat Freiermuth, Najee Harris. Like, I don't see it, Yeah, it's surprising. I will definitely say it is surprising.
Yeah, I did not expect to see Doubs up there. Pierce isn't as surprising. Pickens, these lines have moved, and this is where they're at. But obviously, this tells you that Vegas believes the hype. All three of those players have been, camp hype kind of a guy. Vegas is buying, and they want to see if you're buying too. But they're not, they're plus 800, plus 800. Pickens not too far behind. Kenny Pickett, if he plays more than half the season, that's pretty good odds because quarterback, obviously. Breece Hall, Chris Olave, Drake London, Sky Moore right there. Treylon Burks, there's some talks that Tennessee's got big plans for him. Ken Walker. Could be interesting. Again, make sure you guys go check this out. Brian Robinson. It would have been nice for Brian Robinson if that didn't happen. But yeah, Ritter right there, 3,000.
I like that. Because that's a guy you're throwing some money at that, like you said, if he starts more than half the season, there's a pretty good chance that he's going to be there. And do we think Marcus Mariota is going to be around for more than 4 to 6 weeks? I just don't know that I see it. It doesn't make sense for the organization. So I love those odds on Desmond Ritter right now.
Well, again, shout out to WynnBet. Make sure you guys check them out. And make sure you check us out. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Also, check out the FF Firm on Twitter. And make sure you follow FF Bourbon Dude and Dynasty Dorks. Brad, any parting words?
No, sir. Cheers.
All right. As always, good luck this season.